Hey, good morning. I trust you're doing well today and looking forward to having a great day in the Lord. I just finished reading a devotion from another preacher, and it's triggered my brain. It's a verse I talk about all the time, Romans 8:28. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are the called according to his purpose." And basically what that verse is talking about is the fact that God can use your mistakes. God can use my mistakes for good. He really can. Now, don't misunderstand. The verse isn't for everybody. The verse says very clearly, all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. In other words, for those that make the decision to put their life in these hands, that make the decision they're going to do the right thing to the best of their ability. And I said to the best of their ability, because we all fall short and we've all made mistakes. And it's what we decide in our mind and our heart afterwards. And then God takes that and uses that. The best illustration I know is me. And I've done a lot of thinking this Christmas season. As most of you know, my wife is now a resident of heaven. She went there in October. And it's been rough. It's difficult. But Janet was the best thing in many ways that ever happened in my life. Now, obviously not better than knowing Jesus. And I wouldn't trade my 3 kids for all the tea in China. But I would never have married Janet. She would never have been in my life if it had not been for a stupid mistake. The Bible calls it sin that I made back 25 years ago. And I did wrong. And of course, it hurt me and hurt my family and hurt my church. But you know what? Along the way, I decided, yeah, I made a mistake, but I'm going to turn it over to God. And I'm going to do my best to live for him, even if I have to live by myself the rest of my life and all of that kind of stuff. And God used it for good. He brought Janet into my life. And Janet, as a result, impacted a ton of lives. God did that. I was thinking this week about a young man that I met years ago in the Champaign County Jail by the name of Scott Harbaugh. I'm not going to go into his crimes and what he had done, but I had opportunity to meet Scott. And through that, I led Scott to Jesus Christ. He came to know Jesus, and he made a change in his life. And he ended up with prison. In fact, I testified in his case. And Scott went to prison because of what he had done wrong. And but when he got out of prison, and I maintained contact with him all through that, Scott, God used his life. And Scott went back to his hometown. He married a young lady. They've had babies since then. And the last that I knew, Scott was doing marvelously for Jesus Christ. Why? Because all things, that means everything, can be used for good. Now, it's not necessarily going to be the way I wanted it to be. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go back to the way it was, but it does mean that God uses the events in our life for good. And by the way, my friend, if you look at life like that, and you keep turning your heart and your mind back to God, and God will use what you've gone through. God will use what's going on in your life. God will bless your life. And maybe things won't be the way you wanted them to be, but they'll be the way God wants them to be, and God will use them for good. My friend, would you have a change of attitude this new year? Would you learn to look to the God of the universe and trust him? And when you've made major mistakes in your life, maybe you've done wrong, would you learn to turn to God, ask forgiveness, and then live for him? And he'll use it for his good. I promise you that. I trust you'll do that. God bless you. Have a great week. I pray you'll have a great new year. We'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you.